Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bravo Tea with a Stay-at-Home Mom. I'm Erica, and I'm ready to talk all things Bravo. Welcome back, everybody. On this episode, we're going to be recapping the latest episode of Vanderpump Rules and the very last part of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion, part 3. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like we could have just condensed it into 2, and that's what always worries me. 3 is too much unless something extremely dramatic happened, but we'll do Vanderpump first, and then we'll touch on the Real Housewives, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Mauricio of it all, like what's been happening lately. So we open up with Anne, the assistant. That poor woman is still there. She said she is dressed to go to the Barbie movie, which I enjoyed seeing this summer. So it is funny to see that this is what they're doing right now on the show. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't think you'd see me in my pink dress I'm going to the Barbie movie." Like Tom's just there to talk about himself. He's totally not concerned or even noticing probably that you're wearing a pink dress. He's just like, "Are you doing the dishes in there like I've left notes for and instructed? And I hope you loaded the house up on batteries," because Ariana is upstairs. She gets a stang face because she's like, "Oh, I hear Tom's voice. It's haunting. He's back from his trip." That has to suck because every time they show her in her room, too, not only does she have clothes everywhere and her bed is never made, fluffed with the pillows, there's like products in there. Like she has like wine glasses in there in a box. And I'm like, I don't know if companies are just sending her stuff because they feel bad or if like she went through the house and was like, "Well, these are definitely just my wine glasses, or I just bought these. So I'm just hoarding them up in my room and none of us will ever enjoy them. And I'm just waiting to move out." But she's still in that house right now. And it's just crazy to think she's been living like that. I feel like it's not only stressful that she's still living with Tom, but it's stressful of her little room living quarters. Like that's worse than their old apartment when the microwave and lights couldn't be on at the same time. That was terrible. But Tom is just telling Anne that he thought the trip was good. She's like, "Oh, so no fights and drama." And he's like, "Well, like, LaLa may or may not have like screamed at me and contemplated throwing me off the boat, but everything good." Like, I don't know if Ariana was listening to, I don't know if she totally blocks him out. Me, I'd be like listening and eavesdropping with like the cup to the wall. But I feel like he's purposely saying that the trip went well just in case she hears it to like put fear under her to be like, "Haha, I'm back and everyone's accepting me in and you're going to have to deal with it." But another rough conversation is Scheana goes on over to Lisa Vanderpump's house, which is always just like when they go to her house, I'm like, I can't believe someone lives in this house. Just the amount of time that you need to check on all the animals and feed them. I mean, she has help. She's not doing this. But and clean all of the glass. Like the whole front door is just like glass. The railings are glass and no fingerprints. Like she's probably like, "Ken, don't hold on to the railing when you go upstairs, even if you're on the verge of falling. I don't need fingerprints, darling." I wonder if they still have the same housekeeper that used to kind of be on Vanderpump. That would be a good question that I would like to ask her and see because we don't really ever see the staff anymore. But Scheana goes over and plops down on the couch in a pink, like maroon burgundy-ish attire, which just blends right in with the couch. They're sitting on the pillow. I noticed said Villa Rosa on the pink pillow. There's just a lot of pink. Ken has just had to be accustomed to living with this much pink as a man. But Scheana is just saying that she has never cried so much in all of these trips and that her eyelashes were on the verge of crusting off and drying out and falling off. And that would have just set her over the edge, I'm sure, if that happened. And I'm wondering if she still has that eyelash line because she should have just ripped them off and then put them back on. I don't know how sturdy the glue is. I don't know. I don't get false lashes. I've only done lash lift and tint before. So I don't know, but she said it was like crusting off and I was feeling bad for how upset Scheana was on this trip. I really was, even though I know people are like, "Oh, she makes it all about her." I was like, all right, like I get that you're kind of making it about her, but she dealt with a lot with the restraining order and all that and losing 2 friends. Um then this is where it took a turn to I'm not feeling bad for Sheena anymore. She said, "I was just really hurt when I had to hear from Ariana's new boyfriend that she was going to New York for press with Dancing with the Stars." And Lisa went, "Oh." As soon as she said the word, it's like they like knew what they were going to say. Like sometimes I do think back to when Kyle was like, "You're like Bobby Fischer with the chess pieces and everything's in place." I do think Lisa kind of like says, "Oh, darling, what are we going to talk about at the house?" And Scheana is probably right there with her. And she's like, "Well, I'm going to say this, this, and this." And Lisa's like, "Oh, right. That'll be my cue to bring up the Dancing with the Stars." And she's like, because Lisa was on Dancing with the Stars. She's like, "Oh, I remember when I did it. You were like, that's what I want to do." And Sheena's like, "Yeah, I was in paying and taking dance lessons. Now, I just need to ask, Scheana, why were you taking dance lessons? Like, was someone reaching out?" Like, that's what I almost have to think, unless Scheana can be really ridiculous. So who knows? Like, somebody must have had to be reaching out and saying, "We're gonna pick someone," like before Sandoval happened, "We're gonna pick someone from the show for Dancing with the Stars, and Scheana, it's looking promising for you." Because like, that would be something I would see her wanting to do, because she did the little Good as Gold and was always dancing on the floats at the pride parades, and I could see them being like, "All right, if we have to pick someone from this cast, it's gonna be Scheana." But then, of course, that all changed when Sandoval happened, because all the favors and plugs are going to Ariana. So Shishi's dance lessons were going down the drain, waste of money. Hope she's going to get a refund. Because at this point, if they did ask her, it'd be like a sympathy ask. And that'd be like embarrassing, because it's kind of embarrassing. We all know that she paid for the dance lessons, hoping that she would get picked. And then she made a pretty bitchy comment, and she said, "I am happy for Ariana. She's come a long way since being my backup dancer."
Never told anybody that because I'm such a good friend.
It was definitely giving me Gretchen Wiener vibes. Like, you're trying to sound like you're happy for her, but you're really not, Shishi. You're very jealous. And now it's like everyone's jumping on the bandwagon, me included, because that's a clip from a reel I made that has been going viral. I'm still getting a ton of likes. It says, Scheana telling LaLa she has always wanted to be on Dancing with the Stars, but she's happy for Ariana. And then I did that voice of Gretchen Wieners having a chit chat in the bathroom, saying she couldn't wear the gold hoop earring she got for Hanukkah on Mean Girls. So that I was feeling a little bad for Scheana. And then when she said that, like, she's come a long way since being my backup dancer, I was like, no, this is why no one feels bad for you. And everyone is talking around town saying you're being a little ridiculous. But then Ariana and LaLa go and get coffee, because LaLa really wants to talk with Ariana about how upset she is. Because she's like, "Dude, Lake Tahoe was just like a whirlwind. Never seen Scheana cry this much. And I know she never wants to risk crying too much, because the eyelash is about to crumble off. And we all know Scheana probably has like no eyelashes. So that's why she's always like checking them. Like, if you see, she's always like putting them in place and like worried if she does get emotional that they'll just fall off. And she's probably like bald, no eyelashes left. So that's why she's panicked. But she said that, we took that picture with the fan, and she put her arm around Tom, and the whole internet was like bashing her. Like, could you have just leaped on social media and been like, "Everyone chill"? And Ariana's like, "I really don't want to." Like, I see both sides. I see where Lala's like, you need to like shut it down if it's literally affecting Scheana this bad. But I do also, on the other hand, see where Ariana like is trying to get away from this as much as possible. So if she even talks about Tom and brings herself into the conversation, she's going to get all these comments, and it's going to be a pain in the butt for her. And I think she's dealt with enough pain in the butt stuff, honestly, that this demon and second demon have put her way. But Ariana's like, "I always loved Scheana, and I do feel bad. And I just can't allow any mutual friendships. Like, if she wants to all of a sudden kind of have a soft spot for Tom, because LaLa is saying, Scheana just kind of wants the okay from you, that if we're all in a group setting, she doesn't have to feel so terrible if she like says hi, and like she doesn't want to sit in the corner sulking. She wants to have a good time herself. Not that she's going to be having a good time just side by side holding hands with Tom. But I think what LaLa really meant and wanted to say, and what Scheana more means, is Ariana needs to understand they all have to film together to some capacity, or else they will probably just be fired from the show. And I don't know what Shishi and LaLa would do if they were fired. So what she really is like thinking in her brain and wants to say on camera, and I'm wondering if they say it to her off camera, is like, "Look, We're not having lunch with him off camera, but you need to understand that, like, we have to do on camera shit with him. And we maybe don't want to sit at these dinners and be miserable, but we are not like friends with him again. But you cannot judge us or get mad at us if we're filming with him and going on a trip and maybe saying, hello, we're over here sitting in the airport, because he's really looking to that as like a door open that like they're all going to braid each other's hair and make necklaces together. Because did everyone notice his weird beaded, like Taylor Swift-esque Eras Tour necklace when he was talking to Lisa, which we'll get to that conversation in a minute. But that beaded necklace was for a child, literally for our daughters, not for Tom Sandoval, he's like 42. Like, I feel like he's 40 every year. He's that person that's like, no, I don't age, or like I'm 39 going on 40. No, you're already there. You're in your 40s. You're not even 40 anymore. But Ariana said that she could make a post, and we do later see that she does. And she's like, Scheana has always been there for me, always been a good friend. And this is how I take it. I get that Sheena's like, I have to be in the picture for the fan. But you maybe didn't have to stand next to Tom. You definitely could have been like, I'm going to go stand on the other end. You repulse me. He probably has a little BO on those armpits too. He just strikes me as that type, maybe him and Schwartz. They need a little extra deodorant. So understand both sides. I'm really always caught in the middle between these both sides. But then we see Shishi, LaLa, Katie, and Christina Kelly makes her appearance, and they go to this like super cute dinner. This is when I watch these things. I would not want to live out in Los Angeles, because also it's just, I'd have to be renting a room for Tom and Ariana for all four of us to live in, because I feel like the living out there is just so crazy. We're used to good old Delaware, and it's just too much commotion too. Really wouldn't want the city life day to day, since I have a family, but I just would want the dinners. Like on Friday and Saturday, I wish I could just jet myself to these dinner places, because they always look so cute and they're always outside. Um, but Scheana is just saying she does think that Tom is more sad about losing their friendship than Ariana, because she is telling Katie and Christina Kelly that she saw real tears from him. It was not fake tears. And this is when I'm like, all right, Scheana, you need to pump the brakes a little, especially in front of Katie, because Katie didn't like Tom Sandoval before. She definitely doesn't like him now. So anything that you say, even though it is on TV, so we're all going to see it at some point, Ariana included, she is going to go back and tell Ariana, Scheana is like saying this, this, and this. And she's already putting her foot in her mouth with the being jealous, dancing with the stars. So she better cool it a little bit. And she is just holding on to who Tom was, which I can see why Katie is getting mad. She's like, you just need to let it go, Scheana. She's just like very blunt, and I like it. And because Katie then kind of breaks down and gets emotional and says, I don't know how you can hold on to something he maybe did. Like, Scheana is really holding on to when they did pictures 100 years ago in New York. Tom like pulled her in and said, here, you're on the show with us. Come take the picture. And it's like, are you serious? That's really what you're holding on to. Like, that is a literal joke. And he like, somebody had to say, get in this picture. I mean, if not, a production person was going to say, get in the picture. We're taking a cast picture. I mean, Katie is just kind of amplifying to Scheana that it's very pathetic. She's holding on to one thing. And she's like, I don't care if he's done that or gave you money during the pandemic. Like, he is a terrible human, because look what he did to our friend. And then look what he did to me, because I do agree with Katie. A big reason, even though at the end of the day, Schwartz is a grown ass man adult, he was definitely swayed away from the marriage and turned a lot on Katie with Tom Sandoval's influence, which I think it's just because Schwartz is like a weak person and very weak to Tom, the other Tom, the mean Tom. And it was like he totally always put Tom before Katie, which is not right when you get married. Like, this isn't your like kind of hookup girlfriend. You're living in an apartment and you guys can like break up in a day. They were married, bought a house together, like gonna plan a whole future together, putting all the eggs in one basket. And he just like really always turned on her, which is not right. Like, even if she was having an argument with people on the show, I would always remember Tom would not back her up. And even if you kind of think she's wrong, you always need to have the spouse's back, because that's for better or for worse. Like, we need to add in the vows nowadays, like for ride or die. Like, you need to be the ride or die, not for your friend, for your wife. So I loved that she got a little emotional and shut it down with Scheana. She's like, you just need to put up and shut up and just shush. And she's like, I'm about to heave myself off the side of the building and jump out of this lovely restaurant and leave this beautiful food and drinks if we talk about Tom Sandoval any longer. And then Lala's like, all right, but you need to understand that Scheana can feel that way, which is a valid point. I do get it. Like Scheana can be sad that and more in the friendship that they did have, because I feel like LaLa was not friends with him, so she's touching up her powder in her confessional, and she's like, "It's really no sweat off my back. I was never friends with him." And I feel like Katie never was either. It was just like association because her husband was like best friends with him. But Scheana was the only one I feel like out of all the girls that had an actual friendship with him, so she is hurt. But it is kinda like, well, at the end of the day, maybe you didn't really know him because look at what he did to you included. I mean, he said, like, "You mean nothing to me," and he was mean to her on the phone that night, and he definitely 100% helped Raquel do that restraining order, for sure, because she isn't, like, lights all on up there. Like, people are just using her and taking advantage of her, like Bethany, her parents, Tom at the time with that, like, she is just, like, the puppet for all of this, and they're, like, pulling the strings and telling her what to do. So, Katie said he is a demon and a big reason for the divorce, and I agree. But then we see Lisa meeting Tom at Tom Tom, and it's so funny. So Pump closed, and there's, like, a big iron gate in front of Tom Tom, and it says Pump. And he's like, "Oh, okay." And then she's like, "Oh, and we're bringing, like, some of the staff over," which is the right thing to do. I mean, eh, you're closing your restaurant, but people are depending on you for a job. So she probably sprinkled them into like Tom Tom and Sir, maybe even. Unless some of them are like, well, I'm just going to go elsewhere and looking for a new job. But she brought the chef. She said she wants to like up the menu a little more because I do feel like Tom Tom was more like heavy on, like, the drink and hangout place. Like, it was probably like, "Come eat your meal at Sir and Pump, and then go afterwards to Tom Tom for a drink," or vice versa. Get, like, a cocktail at Tom Tom, and then come eat here for your meals. Well, now she doesn't have that. I mean, she still has Sir, but Sir is really small too. Like, I've never been in Tom Tom, but Sir is very tiny. So she's like, "I brought the chef over from Pump. I wanna, like, pump up" that's funny, I said pump. "Pump up the menu at Tom Tom," and then Tom says in his confessional, "I really wish she woulda consulted me and Schwartz about all these changes that are being made." And then Lisa immediately in her confessional said, "I am not consulting a 2% owner," which was really funny. I mean, I can't believe they only have 2%. It does always I have to laugh because it's like the restaurant's named after them. They have that huge photo of them kissing in there, which is so creepy. And then and she is always using them for publicity. Probably not now because it's like she almost wants to contemplate just calling it Pump Tom, maybe just dropping the other Tom and do something, or like good Tom and bad Tom, like something like that, because he's put a dent in their place too, probably. So she's probably, oh, darling, he's only 2%. You could still support our business. Just boycott Schwartz and Sandy's, but not Tom Tom, darling. He brought her ice cream though, which was a nice gesture. He has been doing this to everyone because at the after show, Lala's like, yeah, he just bought Ocean like a block set for no reason because he knows that's going to get to me, like giving a gift to the kid. Narcissist. Narcissist. Sorry, Lala is right. I did say on the last episode that she throws that word around, but yes. And then later we'll talk about the gift he was giving James. I mean, you can't buy people. And I feel like that's what he always has done. Like we saw him give that sword to Jax and stuff, like having a stepbrothers moment. And it's like he just thinks he can buy people's affection. I'm sure he did that with Ariana a lot for sure. But Lisa told Tom that she talked to Raquel. Now they're calling her Rachel, but as you know, I still like to call her Raquel. And she said that Raquel had said she's just not happy with things Tom said. So then in his confessional, he's saying that he was just telling her, like, the longer you stay in there, the worse it's gonna be when you come out, which I do agree. I don't think there's anything wrong with him saying that because I, like, have doubts of why she was even in a quote unquote mental facility. It's like, I don't think being a hoe is like a mental disability. You just wanted to hide and get away from everything, which I do have to say, Tom took more of the brunt of this because he was still out in the open and going around, and she chose to hide. And he's like, the longer you do it, like, you just got to basically rip the band aid out off and come out. And she didn't like that he said that. And he's like, if you didn't agree with 100% everything she said, she just would get mad at me. So Lisa said that she was just unhappy with things he said and wasn't comfortable. This is the most comedic part. She wasn't comfortable lying to the group about their affair. I mean, you felt comfortable enough that it went on for 9 months. Now I get if you say, "Oh, I'm not comfortable in like a month," but it's like 9 months. So you grew accustomed to being comfortable. And then she said that Tom had told her, "Life is lying." And I don't believe him much these days, but I don't even think that's something he would say. Like, that is so weird. And he's like, "I did not say that," because it is a little annoying that she is blaming it all on him when no one like pushed you on top of him. I mean, for 9 months at that. I mean, come on, girl. Take accountability. So she has blocked Tom, and Lisa said she just felt manipulated, like in her confessional, that when she talked to Raquel, that she had felt manipulated and didn't love him. Well, it's a real convenient time to decide all that because you blew up your life, you blew up his life, and you blew up Ariana's life. I mean, I don't know what this twiddledink thought was going to happen. I mean, I guess she thought they were going to live as a love triangle in the house together. Like, even if Ariana was like, yeah, I'm down with letting someone into our relationship, they were still, the relationship would have been built on cheating because it was like a secret. So I don't know. That's when I am so upset still what Tom did to Ariana, but I have to get upset with Rachel too for like blaming it all on him. Like, you were both 50-50. Like, yes, you were a single person, but you're still doing it and knowing that he is with somebody, let alone that somebody is your friend. I don't know how you could do it to a friend. But then something none of us wanted to see is Joe coming onto our screens. And Katie had always said Joe is a weirdo. And I'm sorry, she is a weirdo. I agree with Katie. And Katie did not sway me to think that way. I thought that all on my own. And you know what I thought the whole entire time too? This woman is a hairdresser, or she at least claims to be, in the living room cutting Schwartz hair. Hair, terrible. I don't know about you guys, but if I'm getting my hair done, I want my hairdresser's hair to look good too, because it's like a preview of what your hair is going to look like. Or it's like, could you at least brush your hair today? She's on camera. They look like twins. She is like the male version of Schwartz, which is creepy. And I feel like if Schwartz was a woman, he would be Joe, which some would say, oh, well, then they'll work. It's like, no, because they're the same person, which is weird. They're both wearing hats and they go to Sir and they sit with Allie and James, and you could tell Allie is like, I do not want to sit with her. And then they see Sandoval and he comes on over and Allie's like, is this a setup? Like, she's probably like, I do not want to be here. I don't like any of these people. Want to get out of here and go back to the house to the kitty cat and the doggy. And then Allie is just not even going to say hi to Tom, which I loved that. Everyone does say hi. James is pointing at his sunglasses. And then this is the gift giving I'm talking about. Tom takes them right off and he's like, oh, here, James, do you want them? So try hard. Like, chill out, bro. Just offer to like, well, I would say offer to pay for his like food or something they're eating, but they don't pay for any of that food there. And James is like, I'll like put them on. And Allie's like, you're giving me Elton John vibes. But remember that he got Rachel sunglasses last year too. Get it, Allie. Not only are you not saying hi to Tom, you're pointing out that he's trying to manipulate everyone and gift give, and it's not gonna work. And Joe was so try hard too. She was so annoyed. She's like, oh, we're all sitting together. Yay, we're all friends. It's like, no one wanted you on. I have to ask. She even got her own confessional. We fired Jax, Kristen Doty, and Stassi, three of the most dramatic people on Vanderpump Rules that always brought the drama, always gave us wonderful years. And they can't even come back on the show. And we're giving Joe her own confessional. No. And where's Peter? He's still managing Sir like 100 years later, still literally wearing the same over like shirt that is too small for him. His muscles are over top of the shirt. Where is he? Not only is he not in the season, he's not getting a confessional. And Joe even spruced herself up for the confessional. Her hair still looked terrible. It was just awful. She needs like a deep conditioning mask on that mop. I mean, I hate to like shame talk on a woman, but I was not having it. I know why Katie said she's spooky. She is spooky. And you know what is spooky? She kind of reminded me of if Teddy Mellencamp had no money. That's what she would look like, with like bad hair and whatnot. Because even Teddy on her first year of the Housewives, She was not as fashion forward, but she was, like, not homely looking, like, she looked good. She maybe just wasn't, like, crazy style, but she always still looked attractive, and then the next season, she really glowed up, and now she's, always getting the hair and makeup done, but that's what I pictured Teddy would look like if she had no money, if she was not a Mellencamp, if John Mellencamp was not her father, and apparently he gave her no money, though. I find that hard to believe. But then Joe and Schwartz go out on, like, a day date, and this was annoying too. We're getting a whole 'nother scene with her, and she's still like, the hair still looked terrible, and, she's giving me stalker vibes, to be honest. I mean, Tom is saying in his confessional they did actually have sex and hook up, and then he's like, "But I think it's now just, like, a platonic thing," and it's like, "Yeah, because she, like, reminds me of you." She's like a boy, I feel like a bro you're hanging out with, and then she, on the other hand, in her confessional is like, "Yeah, I'm not sure where everything's going." And she's probably in her brain like, "Yeah, like, next year, I'm gonna be, like, on the show. I'm gonna be, like, the new star. Like, me and Schwartz are gonna, like, buy a house together, skip on our merry way. I'll give him haircuts in the living room, but I won't brush my hair still." And yeah, it was awkward. I felt that they are on different pages that much. And then they're, like, talking like robots together, and I'm like, "No, you are in public. Stop it." But then Tom, James, and Brock meet for a fancy steak dinner while the ladies are doing a little astrology party at Allie and James's house because she's going to read all their birth charts. And I love that. And she's saying it out of the pureness of her heart so they can all get along and understand each other. Why did Brock wear a women's or like a pirate blouse to this dinner? He wears like women's clothes. Like, it's very weird. He's too big of a man, like, not fat, he's, like, muscular, like, too big of a stocky man to wear, like, the women's stuff like Tom Sandoval does. Like, we all know his, like, pantsuits are, like, from Zara or H&M in the women's section. His, like, fake little Chanel tweed women's suit that he's wearing in his confessional, but Brock cannot do the same thing. He looks like he's going to a pirate dinner. He's wearing, like, a black ruffled shirt. The rest of the men look fine. Like, I was expecting Sandoval to show up like that, not Brock. And then in the after show, he looks like he's wearing, like, Scheana's shoes. They're, like, such skinny, like, alligator black boots with, like, a pointy toe, and I'm like, "Why are you wearing that? That's definitely for women." I don't even know how he would fit his foot in it because, like I said, he is not, like, a petite man. He's very, like, more stocky and muscular. So they're at like a Brazilian steakhouse, like all you can eat thing. You flip the card green, red. And Schwartz said whoever flips the card red first has to pay for the meal. And we all know Bravo's paying for the meal probably because it's being filmed. But then we kick it with the ladies for the astrology night. And Allie is just going to read everyone's charts. She's explaining how and why everyone is the way they are. And Lala's like, oh, okay, I get it. So mine basically says I'm like a raging bitch. And then she said Katie is like, has had many lives before this. And Katie's like, yes, in a previous life, I was definitely a man that had a big DICK. And she's like, that's why I have big DICK energy. And I think that maybe she's grumpy sometimes in this life because she's had a lot of previous lives. So she's just burned out and she gives 0 Fs and she calls people out in her last life because she's like, I have one life to live at this point, and I'm going to tell it like it is. And it was interesting when Allie was reading Ariana's chart, she was saying, like, you always have had a 4-leaf clover in your pocket, but now it's blossoming, which is when we see her now getting all these opportunities. And she reveals, this was crazy to me, that before this all happened, she was down to her last $2,000. Now we look at these people on TV and we're like, oh, look, they're on TV. They do these appearances. They get this, they get meh, 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 meh. Like they're making so much money. Like, oh, she's so rich. She could just move out. But when you hear stuff like this is why she's trapping herself in that house. Because believe me, if she could have moved and afforded it, I know she would have. She said that as soon as she started making a little bit of money on the show, they bought the house. So I get it, house poor and very expensive house. Like those were when they were like brand new builds. Like that was the start of the modern farmhouse era. So brand new houses out there, obviously a lot. The taxes have to be a lot, especially on a new house or even more. Um, And I mean, they pay their agents, they pay people to probably kind of run their social media. I don't know back then if she was doing that, but she said, they went house poor right away. And then she was getting a little more money, but then she put it into something about her, which is where it's going to be really depressing if that doesn't open. And then she said, right before everything happened, she was calling her manager and stuff and saying, "We really need to get me some gigs to make me some money." And then this happened. It's almost like a blessing in disguise. I mean, you never want someone to cheat on you and leave you, but as Scheana was saying at that dinner with Katie and Christina Kelly, she's like, I think Tom didn't even care that the relationship was over because it was already over. Like they should have broken up months and months before that, which I do agree with that. Like they should not have been together, but you sit someone down and you break up with them. You don't do what you did, especially with the friend. I don't need to go down the rabbit hole again of explaining the moral compass or lack thereof of him. But I understand why people feel bad for what happened to her, but maybe not bad that she lost Tom because I do think they were in a loveless relationship or they were just hitting a wall. But it was very interesting that she said she was like poor. So I'm good for her for getting all these opportunities because it sounded like she needed it. Um, Tom is just telling the guys what Lisa told him about Raquel. And I bet James is sitting there in his brain, like, good, that's what you get. And that's where it is, like, ironic. It's like you're thinking you're gonna, like, leave Ariana, you don't care because 'cause you're with the love of your life. Look where it got you. Not only did you make her so upset and ruin all your friendships, and you have an uncomfortable day-to-day situation now, and now they have these lawsuits going on with each other with the house, you don't even have Rachel. Oh, I called her Rachel, I slipped, no, Raquel. You don't even have her at the end of the day, and now she's suing you and Ariana. So it's like, this is karma serving it at its finest. I just wish she would leave Ariana out of that lawsuit because just hit it to Tom. But LaLa is saying, the guys are bonding because men are just different than us. So I do see they are bonding a little bit. James is coming around. That's why Allie was like swatting those glasses away. She's like, no, no. Remember, it's like she's like coaching him, like, look away from the light, James. And then Allie and Ariana are just discussing that. They are worried that James will let Sandoval back in because I can tell James may get fiery with his words, but it's because he's very emotional and he puts that up as a defense, I feel. So when he gets really mouthy and he's like, "You're a woman with a mustache," it's because at the end of the day, he was just very hurt by Tom. And offended by Raquel. I mean, yeah, he's not in love with Raquel or jealous of Raquel, but, like, how do you, like, do that with, like, one of his best guy friends? Because Tom was always, like, the number one friend for James. I mean, Jax never really liked him. Schwartz and him were like, "Meh," because he had those issues with Katie, and that was before Brock got there, so it was really just, like, Tom, and he was just hurt by both of them, but more so Tom, and Ariana is like, "Yeah, I mean, he was really upset at the reunion, so it'd be really weird if he, like, turned it around." And then LaLa is like, "Well, time has passed and, you need to kind of get over it, and if anyone, I would know about it." And then LaLa is just explaining in her confessional, like, "I get it, blah, blah, blah." But it's like, no, you don't get it, LaLa, because she's trying to relate herself, first of all, in every situation to Randall. She sometimes gives me Scheana vibes where it's like, let's bring it back to me and my problem. I remember hearing James and other people say that LaLa and Randall would always fight and bicker, and then she got pregnant. So I don't want to call a girl out, but if the relationship is a little unstable, getting pregnant is not going to make it more stable and better. It's going to cause more fights because children are expensive and stressful. So she's trying to say, oh, well, I can't tell people what to do. And I need to just live day to day for myself and not worry about Randall. Well, you didn't say that the previous season when you were sending Schwartz like long Tequila Katie inspired text messages saying, like, don't play pickleball with Randall or you're dead to me. Now, Randall cheated on her, but with strangers. I feel if this was a girl from the friend group, LaLa would totally even take it further than Ariana and be like, "You're all dead to me if any of you talk to Raquel or Randall." It'd be like that. Or I'd have to pick a friend because she was never friends with Raquel. Like Scheana. Like, if any of you talk to Scheana or Randall, dead to me. Just look the other way. And I feel bad for Ariana because she is trying to explain to people, like, you can talk to him, but understand that I don't want to be your friend if you're supporting that, because by talking to him and being his friend, you're basically saying, I don't care that you did that to Ariana, which I agree. I would more take that stance. Like, if he did this to my friend, even if I was friends with him before, I could not look his way. I would film with him, but I would not be crying to the verge of my eyelashes crusting off and falling off that I can't be friends with him anymore. So I wouldn't even want to be friends with someone that could do that. And then LaLa and Katie get into it because Katie's like, this is my last life to live because I've lived a lot of lives, Allie says. So I'm going to give it to you straight. And she's like, just say what you mean. Say it off your chest, bitch, to LaLa. And she's like, don't go there with me. Don't go toes. Like, LaLa always like gets all like ghetto and points the finger. And she's like, you don't want me to do this right now. And it's like, no, we do though, because say whatever you need to say. And Katie's going to say whatever she has to say. That's kind of sometimes the problem. Again, I love LaLa. This is just what we do on here. My opinion, venting it out, recapping in my opinion. I just feel when the shoe is on the other foot, she has a lot to say, but when it's on her foot, she's like, no, don't do this, don't do that. And like, she's trying to be a good friend to Scheana. I think it's interesting because her and Katie were very close last season. Now she's just like kind of turning on Katie, and her and Katie were getting into it. And that was a little tense and stressful. I saw the cat in the background just watching from the table. Graham was hiding in the other room. I mean, Hippie, formerly known as Graham. He's like, this is getting too intense for me. I have chosen to step away from the drama. I need to be off camera for this. This is not putting me in a good headspace. It's PTSD trauma from living with Raquel. So he was just in another room. And then LaLa is just like apologizing for snapping. And she's like, I'm sorry, but that is like how I feel. And then Katie is just like not having it. She ended with the stank face. I am excited for next week's episode because we are finally going to get Jax Taylor stepping back on in because they are going to go out. He's going to have some words with Tom. I love it because this is when he was still mad at Tom. Like, he definitely capitalized on the Sandoval too, because him and Brittany were kind of laying low. And then he's like, this happened. I'll run my mouth to any tablet. I'm going to call Ray Daw online right now and run my mouth because he didn't like him anymore. So he's like, might as well. So they're going to go out. We're going to bring Jackson. He's going to have some words with Lisa. And then he is going to segue us right into the Valley. And I watched the after show. We got people from the Valley. And I'm like, all right, too soon. Like, come on next week maybe and chit chat. But like, we don't need all these people that were never on Vanderpump. Like, I don't care if like Kristen, Brittany, and Jax were on the after show, but it's like, get those other people out of there. And I'm telling you right now, that one guy is going to be so annoying because he's going to try to kind of be like a Jax. And I already just could tell he's annoying. I don't remember his name. I don't remember any of the new people's names because I'm just like, I really don't care to see you. I am going to watch the show because I will be recapping it on here. But I wish like Bravo's welcoming them back on TV. Why don't we just put Kristen and Jax back on Vanderpump? So, and Brittany, so we can see them with their actual friends. Like, I don't need like 10 new people that I don't care about. And they are trying a little hard in the trailer. Like, you could tell they're like, all right, we need to outbeat Vanderpump. Like, I want my Vanderpump glory check and we need to make the show work. So let's be extra dramatic. Like, no, 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 no. Just give the old people what they want back on Vanderpump. But I am excited to see Brittany and Jax, the unfold of it all, because I read that he is separating from her because of her body and her looks. And that is just unacceptable.
Rotten Hill.
Because she did even say on the second trailer that they gave us for the show, like, we never sleep together anymore and he's not attracted to me. And I feel so bad for her. I mean, she birthed a child and you know what? He was fine with that body when he was getting checks from Jenny Craig. $2 million she got that they were living off of because he got fired from Vanderpump. So that's what they were paying their bills with. But Brittany is just talking with LaLa on the after show. They just kind of are talking about like LaLa being pregnant. And I'm sure Brittany is sitting there being a little jealous because we also saw in the second part of the trailer that she's like baby fever. And Jax is like, I don't want another baby. And it's like, all right, well, you knew she wanted multiple kids. Brittany laid it all out on the table who she was before they tied the knot. So how dare he turn back now? I feel like he was all in it, and then now all of a sudden he owns that Jax's City Bar, whatever. I don't even Jax's bar in the city. I don't know. Beer cheese, Meemaw's beer cheese. Now, if him and Brittany get divorced, they need to take off Meemaw's beer cheese. Cross it off and just put beer cheese that I ripped the recipe off, not Meemaw. Meemaw's name cannot be used in vain if you're not going to treat our Kentucky muffin Brittany right. But then Jax was talking about Katie's little comment at the dinner with LaLa, Scheana, and Christina Kelly. She's like, because Scheana said, I mean, look at Jax. I never thought him and Brittany would make it back. And Katie's like, yeah, another bad example. Like, she's like, I hear that he's like running around town. So they're segueing him into the show. I see that. But Scheana is interesting. Like, she like picks people that have done such shitty things. And she's like, yeah, but they were nice to me like one time. So like, I really want to hold on to our friendship. And Katie's like, no, they're all terrible. Like, all the men on this show are awful. They have all cheated on all of us. And then it's like, I was even thinking like Sheena was like, "Oh, well, I want to be friends with him," and like Ariana needs to get over it. It's like, how about we all call up Mike Shea? How about we get him? Maybe we'll discuss how he drained your bank account to buy drugs, and like you're divorced from him now. Nobody talks to him. It's just like, how would her and Lala feel if people were hanging out with Shay and Randall? And Shay would even maybe be different because all the guys were really close with him. But they are picking Sheena because she was more important. And no one even wants to talk to Randall because he's just a terrible person on his own. But it is like, hello, how would you feel if this was happening? So, I mean, at least next week we will get the Valley. I am intrigued. I don't think Jax and Brittany are doing all of this for a Sandoval moment because of the son. I think Jax would be crazy enough to do it, but I don't think Brittany would. So they did pick the cameras up, which that's why some people were like, "Oh, okay, how convenient you're having a separation right now." I think them being back on reality TV sparked some cuckoo plug in Jax's brain, and that's why this is happening, honestly. And owning the bar, he's probably out late. That's the downfall of it all. So I feel bad for Brittany. Lala's like, let's just all be single and like have no men. Like, she's very anti-man. Oh, because wait, I forgot to say in the episode, she has Lisa come over to her office and she talks about getting a sperm donor. And she's like, I don't want a baby daddy, but I want another baby. And Lisa's like, why don't you just wait until you find somebody? Now, she's getting like two sides. She's getting like the very positive of like, good for you for wanting to do it on your own because there's like nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of single parents and like we can do things like that now with technology. Like she used IUI, she can do it. She got a sperm donor, she could do it on her own. Um, the one thing I don't like about Lala is just because of her bad experience with Randall, she's like chalking up all men or all people because she could turn to the other side and look to ladies. She is looking at everyone like they're terrible. I mean, look at Ariana. She's another boyfriend and he's treating her right. She's like, just because Tom like took our relationship and blew it up doesn't mean everyone's going to do that to me. And I get why Lala doesn't want to wait much longer because she doesn't want Ocean to be like 10 and then she's having another baby. She wants them to grow up close like her and her brother did in age. So I get that. Like my daughters are 3 years apart. I think that's a great age. They play well together. I love that they have each other because I'm an only child. So I totally get her theory on that. But the fact that she just always brings it back to like, I don't want a baby daddy. I don't want to share the kid. And it's like, well, like just because Randall turned out bad doesn't mean like I hope she finds a great guy or a girl or somebody one day because I'm sorry, you can't live with your mom forever. Like she's not going to be your wife or husband. Like I think Lala, I empathize with her situation, but she does need to give love a chance, and you can take it super slow. I think people will understand that. Um, So I think it's great that she is pregnant and congratulations to that. But I think she will find someone that is going to treat her right. But let's take a little break and then we will recap RHOBH, the last part of the reunion. To all my listeners out there, it's not just the Bravo celebrities that want to look beautiful. We do too. Head on over to Studio One Salon for the most amazing extensions, cut, color, or even just a nice shampoo and blowout for when you go out with all your friends to talk about all the latest Bravo tea. Use my code BRAVOT with a stay at home mom to enjoy 10% off. And we're back. So I don't know about you guys, but so disappointed in this episode. I didn't necessarily think Kyle was going to come out and be like, oh, me and Morgan are girlfriends and Mauricio, this is the thing he did to me. He cheated on me, or he had a secret family, or he did this. Like, I was hoping we'd get some answers, but this episode was a dud. I mean, uh, like Kyle and Sutton are still hashing out a little, like they were talking about the previous episode. Because what I noticed with this too, it's like they showed the last 2 minutes of like what we already saw, and they did that after every commercial break. Like sometimes I'm like, all right, like I like that you do that so we don't forget what's going on. But then sometimes I'm like, well, we just like already saw that. So like I don't care to see it again. Can we just pick it up from where we already were going? But Sutton is like, as Denise would say, watch the show. I thought that was funny because she's like, you were mean to me all season, Kyle. And Kyle's like, well, sometimes you just need to shut up. And then they did hug it out though, because I feel like they were fighting on the show, but then they also had positive moments too. Like when they were in Spain, the whole Merce thing was very binding for them because she really leaned on Kyle when she was emotional that morning. So Kathy is holding them up though by taking pictures of herself in the parking lot because we now see it's dark. So it's getting late. Dorit already held them up in the day, even though she now is coming out and saying she didn't, but I'm sure she did. And Kathy's out there in her like mother of the bride or mother in law of the bride outfit, taking pictures in front of the trailer. And I need my Kathy Hilton.
Who is Hunky Dory?
I don't really know why she was at the reunion. I don't mind that she was there because I think she was funny. She literally got more talking time than Anna Marie did the whole reunion. I don't even know why Anna Marie came. And then Andy was like, all right, get up from the end of that couch and get on the other couch, but make sure you still sit on the end because no one's going to talk to you the whole episode. And then Sutton is like so like shook, like seeing Kathy. And everyone is like, why is she here? I mean, it is true. So, like, her and Kyle, like, not only was Kathy not on the show, but her and Kyle weren't even talking the whole season. And then it's like, all right, now she's going to be on the reunion. Like, that's so weird. Like, I don't know if Kyle wanted like moral support or that they were bringing her on to be like, see, look, everything's fine. We're like sisters again. Like, we love each other. I don't know. It was weird, but she's probably like, yeah, I'm not doing anything. I'm not with my little fan and Red Bull today or having caviar at my house with sour cream. So I'll come on over. I'm not filming Paris in Love today, so I'll come on over for my sister. And then they are just saying how Kathy is feared in Beverly Hills, and she's like laughing, but she's like laughing, crying. Because at first I'm like, is she crying because she's like offended, or is she laughing? It was very weird. But I don't know why she doesn't think that. I mean, two women that just off the top of my head that I think of you don't want to cross paths with in like LA area is like Kathy Hilton and Kris Jenner. I mean, I wouldn't want to go toes, as LaLa would say, with either of them or get on their bad side. Love you blacklisted from everywhere. So Kyle had said in her confessionals, like, yeah, do I think Sutton just wants to be close to her to go to her parties? Yeah, I do. And it's like, probably. And like Crystal too. Like Crystal says, when are you friends with her? And then Garcelle is sitting there like shaking her head. And it's like, Garcelle, I know you just want to talk to her so you could go to parties because when do you ever see and talk to Kathy and how are you friends? And it's like, you don't like Kyle, but you want to be nice to her sister so you could go to the parties. And I get it. There's nothing wrong with that. But just say that. Like, yeah, I enjoy Kathy's parties, but I do like her as a person too. But they're like so offended and weirded out that Kyle's saying that. And then crazy turn of events. Sutton, this was probably the most dramatic part. Like I'm thinking everything's going to be dramatic, but this was the most dramatic. Sutton is like starts having an episode. She's like, oh, oh. And then, like, she's shaking and her hands are, like, purple, and Andy is taking the cards and, like, fanning her, and I'm like, "Is she passing out because she wants to get out of the reunion because she doesn't wanna talk to Kathy because she's afraid? Or they don't wanna talk about, like, the Morgan and Kyle and Maurizio of it all?" So, Kathy made that little joke to Erica because, like, her and Erica could have cared less across from the couch. They're like, "Oh, do you still have your Christmas tree up?" She's like, "No, I took it down. I'm taking it down this week. Mine." And then, they're just, like, talking. Kathy's like, "Well, this is a good way to get out of the reunion." And I'm like, they just do not care at all. And then they have Sutton go off the stage and, like, Anna Marie, this is the one time she can jump up and be helpful because she's in the medical field. And Garcelle's like, "No, I wanna go with her because I wanna get the hell out of here." That's a good way. Be like, "No, you know what? I'm her friend, so I'll go with her. I'm very worried and concerned about her." I think Sutton and Garcelle wanted to leave because they didn't wanna be on the chopping block and get grilled for all the comments they made all season about Kyle and Maurizio. So they're like, "You stage a pass out, we'll get to leave, and then we'll just go to dinner, like, around your house. No one will know." No, I'm just kidding. She definitely did. Like, they took her blood pressure, and she definitely was having some problems because her hand was shaking. It was, like, purple looking. But, then Andy is just talking to Kathy and Kyle about all of the downfall of Maurizio. Maybe that's why we're there to get Kathy's opinion on all this, because we know she doesn't even like, as she calls him, Maurice, as Kim does too. I think that's their code name for him because they don't like him. So they're the only two that I've ever referred to him as that name. So they show this like sad montage of Kyle and Maurizio just being in love and, oh, look, we're putting this lock on this bridge in Paris and let's kiss and we love each other forever. And then fast forward to when she's like, "Are you done your meeting?" And he's like, "I'm working, love bean. How many tattoos are you getting with your girlfriend over there?" And that was sad. And then they obviously had to touch on what we've seen lately in the press and what we've been seeing previews for his new season of Buying Beverly Hills, how he left Hilton and Hyland and him explaining it. I understand why he left. This is a tricky part about working with friends or family. They're going to be upset with you when you leave, but should you just stay working for them forever and not earn to your potential or grow yourself and just stay stuck under their foot? And he said he approached them to, be a more like earning percentage partner with them to make more money, and they shot it down and then he left. So I see why that caused tension because then Kathy revealed that like they had said, as long as you just don't poach any of the employees, which that's fair. And she's like, and he did. And then Kyle's like, well, like, they were already with him within the group. So he had a Umansky group within Hilton Highland. And I'm sure when he told them I'm leaving, those agents worked pretty much directly under him, and then Maurizio was under Hilton Highland. So it's like a pyramid kind of. So those people are used to working with Maurizio. They're probably like, "Well, we'd like to leave with you." That is all on their own doing personally, in my opinion. Like, I don't think he poached anyone and said, "Leave with me," and quit with them, and you can't down people for leaving on their own free will. And of course they were probably just mad he left and went into competition, and now look at the agency, what he's grown. He's worth like $100 million and has all these offices, and I could see how that caused friction and tension for Kyle. But it's hard because what is he supposed to just stay working for you and you're the top dog and you don't want anyone to better themselves? So that's hard. But then we get word that Sutton is leaving for the hospital and Garcelle's going with her because they're going to get out of there. They're fearing of Kathy. Merce is in the purse on the couch. They're getting the cell phones and the purse. And everyone's like, why is he here? Like, we thought we left him in Barcelona, half on our mouth and Garcelle's back and hair when we spread him. They're like, no, she saved a little bit and brought him today. It's like, okay. So then we're just getting into how Kathy and Kyle came back together because, as we know, they were not talking all season. And Kyle was really afraid of anything she said during the season if it would like come back to haunt her, what she said about Kathy. And she's like, even though it's all true and I'm just saying the truth, just still afraid because we're in a better place. So she said they really reconciled at Kim's daughter's wedding which was out in Aspen, and they all had like a welcome dinner at Kyle's Aspen house. And the next day, as Kathy's telling this, she's like crying. I've never seen her cry so much. She said that she walked into the hair salon, it was empty, and she saw Kyle, and Kyle's like, "Oh, that's my sister." Something so innocent, and no one was around, and they just really reconnected. And I really think it's though because she was already on the outs with Maurizio. So Kathy's probably like, thank God, so I can welcome you back now. I don't think that's all of the reason, but I think Kathy's the type that she's like a grudge holder. So it's like in the back of her brain constantly when she's around Kyle and Maurizio, because at the end of the day, Kyle, supported Maurizio leaving. And he had said to her, because it showed the flashback of when he said, she's like, well, it'll be hard for the family, but like obviously she supported him. So Kathy probably always held that against Kyle and was a point of contention in their relationship. And now she's kicking Maurice to the curb. She's like, good, you're out of the dark side and you're into the clear. We love you. But Andy said that that was really nice and that was nice. And then they are now touching on the end of Kyle and Maurizio. And Andy said, when did things really start to change? So I'm like, Andy, you better ask all the questions and we better get some answers. This is when I was like turning the volume up and I'm like telling my husband, shh, no talking, turn the volume off on your phone. Really need to pay attention and listen. It's very important. And she said that, little things happened, but they would always brush it under the rug because like day-to-day life and the kids and they were busy. And like, then they would like come back to the same problem and just kind of brush it under the rug. And it's like, please elaborate on these problems. And then she said, something did happen where my trust was lost. And Andy was like, is it something he did? And she's like shaking her head. And then Dorit, Dorit, Erica, and Kathy know what it is because they're on the couch and they're shaking their head. And she's like, I thought I could come back from it, but I just couldn't. What is it? She said there was no infidelity, but at this point, I'm like thinking she's just lying because what is it? At first, I was definitely like, oh, it's infidelity. And then I was like, oh, it's definitely a secret family. And then I'm like, you know what? Maybe he did shady business stuff, or maybe it is like him trash talking the Hilton name. I don't know, but I don't think she'd be getting divorced for trash talking the Hilton name. Like that's a little extreme. Because at the end of the day, these people all trash talk each other. They're on reality TV and they live in Beverly Hills. She. I need to know. And I don't like that Kyle isn't telling us because at the end of the day, I sympathize that this is her life and this is her personal life. But you know what? You get, I don't know how much she gets a season, but I imagine she's one of the highest paid ones because her and Teresa Giudice are the last standing OGs in the franchise. And I imagine she makes a ton of money. So you put it out there for us viewers to watch, and we want to know. We're kind of owed to know. I think she doesn't want to say because of her daughters. So that's why I'm leaning more towards like secret family infidelity, maybe like dirty Instagram messages. I don't know. Because she said she would have never allowed him to go on Dancing with the Stars. And since they were separated, he took it. And then Andy's like, yeah, how did you feel seeing him hold hands with a dance partner? It's just like, it didn't feel good. But then it's like, all right, Kyle, well, you're leaping around town with Morgan Wade. And whether you want to admit it or not, it still had everyone in question. So then we get in to the Morgan of it all. And Andy said, are you dating Morgan? That is the $1,000,000 question. And it is the $1,000,000 question, Andy. And we want to know the $1,000,000 answer. And just crickets. It's still crickets and it makes me mad. And Kathy said she just supports her happiness, whether she wants to finalize and get divorced from Maurizio because they do. Oh, wait, I'm going to jump back for a second. Then I jump forward because I was just too excited, even though we don't get an answer. But they said they are talking divorce. And then Andy's like, well, what are you going to do with the house? Because it's like, it is just weird that they're still living together. And she said that he would move out. And then I was like, okay, well, he could probably find a house in like a day because that's like literally what he does. And he has enough money to move out. So it's just like, I don't think there's a rush because they get along. But it's like, if her trust is so broken from him, how are you getting along in the house? And like, you want to get divorced. So to me, you're not getting along. It's just all so weird. So then they show the montage. So now here we go. They show the montage of Kyle and Morgan, and he is reading what people wrote in and said that somebody said she looked like a giddy schoolgirl together, and then Crystal said, because he's like, "What does everyone think? Do they think like Kyle and Morgan were together?" And Crystal's like, "I thought you were together because I got some messages sent to me." And then Andy's face like perked up and he's like, "Do tell." Like off camera, he'll be like, "Crystal, you need to show those to me." And I was like, Crystal knows. She has like connections. She would know. Like, show them to me." And that's why I think Kyle's lying, because I think at this point, Kyle can't even say, "Yeah, we were together," because she would have been stepping out on the marriage because they were not separated yet when all this hoo ha was happening. So I think at this point, she can't even say, and she'll act like, "Oh, we've now fallen in love, but nothing was happening before." You're not pulling the cloth over our eyes and fooling us any longer. But Dorit said, it looked like you were girlfriends, like, you're having all these pictures, you're going everywhere together, because that is true, like, she's following her around like she's a rock star wife, like she's on tour with Aerosmith and you're married to Steven Tyler and you're going from city to city touring the world with her. And then, Kyle, this was also such a load of crap. She's like, "Morgan didn't even ever watch the show." And Andy's like, "Well, you made her a household name." And she's like, "Well, she wouldn't want that. She would trade it all for just her music." It's like, you want to be a household name for your music, goofy. And I don't believe that, because she didn't have to come on the show. She came on like a couple episodes and just did that whole music video with you. And she's photographed with you all the live long day around town. Like, if she really didn't want all that, she wouldn't even be friends with you. It wouldn't even be worth it. And I think she does want all that because she wants to boost her music career, which is fine. But I don't like all this lying Kyle is doing. And then Andy is like, "Is she like the reason for you and Maurizio?" And like, everyone kind of wants to know like what the real reason is. Somebody wrote that in. He literally was Andy was doing a great job. I mean, we have to give kudos to Andy. He was asking the right questions, whether these are real fan questions or they're just written by Andy Cohen himself. He is asking them with no hesitation. And someone was like, "Stop dancing around. What is the real reason for you and Maurizio getting divorced?" And she's like, "It's nobody's effing business." Well, it actually is, Kyle, because you're on TV. And we all want to know what's going on with Morgan. And she said that music video was done before the article of separation, because she's like, "Oh, I would have never done it after all this." But she's like, "I did say yes because I was curious. I have never kissed a girl before, let alone on camera. And I was curious. So that's why I said yes." And then Andy was like, "Well, could you ever see yourself with Morgan?" And Kyle's like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just changing and evolving a lot, and I don't know. It's like, "Stop it. Stop it." Like, that's what I mean. She's not saying no. So he went, "Well, that wasn't a no." Which, yeah, he's calling it out. Like, "Yeah, you probably want all this to settle, and then you guys are gonna run off together in Aspen once Portia maybe graduates." But that's a long time from now. Um, I don't know. I didn't get any closure. He yawned at the end. So not only was Dorit boring him, this whole episode was boring him. And they didn't even do a cheers and like final speeches at the end. It was so weird. I mean, it was weird too that Sutton and Garcelle missed this whole end. I get it. Like, Sutton had to leave, but like, Garcelle, no excuses. There's paramedics in there. Avi is probably literally waiting in the trailer for her. You need to sit your butt down and finish this reunion. Like, if anything, we should have sent Anna Marie with Sutton, because she was pointless to Heather. She wasn't even talking. Like, Andy should have been like, "No, Garcelle, you sit your butt on this couch. Anna Marie, you just leave, because you're probably not even going to be here next season. And we didn't even talk to you like all of the reunions." Kathy Hilton literally spoke more than Anna Marie this whole episode. Um, Anna Marie didn't even like talk for all three of them. I mean, it was pretty sad. Because Garcelle, I think, would have been grilled by Kyle a little bit about like her poking at everything that she said about the comments about the ring. And Maurizio, she's like, "Oh, was that a makeup ban? Oh, because he cheated on you." Like, I feel like Garcelle can throw these offensive things out. But then when you hit it back to her a little bit, it's like, "Oh, you're being racist," or like, "You're just nasty and I can't trust you around my children." And it's like, "Oh, but it's okay for you to scream in my dining room that my husband's cheating on me, and look at this new band. Did he buy it because he's cheating?" All I know is I need to know. I think we need to juice Kathy Hilton up on a little alcohol, little of her tequila, and she needs to tell us why they're getting divorced. Those are just my guesses at this point. If it's something Kyle literally could not come back from, it has to be infidelity or a secret family. I don't know. Or like maybe she's treating like secret DMs back and forth, not infidelity. I mean, you don't have to touch people for it to be infidelity. You could have full blown relationships via the World Wide Web and just in your DMs. So I don't know. I'm disappointed in our Kyle Richards. She knows the name of the game. You need to divulge the information because that's just what you signed up for, reality TV. Sorry that you got a family, but also I feel like the older ones definitely probably know the reason. And Portia may know too, because they live in a town, as Kyle would say, in this town, everyone can't keep their mouth shut. So they're probably already hearing why, like, this is happening because I can tell Erica, Dorit, and Kathy know. But good friends, like she better check the friendship with Dorit because if Dorit knows, she's keeping her lips sealed. She is not calling Radar online to save her and PK from the questionable money woes and budget he may or may not have her on that we'll never know the true answer to either. But I don't know what next season's gonna hold for us. Apparently they start filming already, like in April. So I hope we get some sightings on the internet of people saying like, "Oh, they're here, and we still don't know if Kyle and Morgan are dating, but look, they're travel the whole world together." And it did say right after the reunion, she was front row and center for some concert. I mean, she's only leaving Portia behind. Like, and then she was yelling at Maurizio that one episode that he like didn't bring her to school on time. It's like, well, you're the one gallivanting off with your may or may not be girlfriend. And I don't know. And then it said Sutton was recovering in her kitchen with Avi. And that's what I mean. Avi would have taken her to the hospital. Garcelle just didn't want to stay and be grilled. Chicken. Calling her out a little bit. Chicken. She didn't want to stay on that couch and be called out for anything. But yeah, we're gonna get Buying Beverly Hills. Maybe I'll recap that too. I mean, I know I'm recapping a lot at the moment. I feel like we got a lot of shows going on, and then we're gonna get Jersey back soon in May. But maybe I'll recap Buying Beverly Hills, or like if something really dramatic happens, I'll just add that into the chit chat mix. Because I definitely want to recap the Valley. I do think it will be good now that Jax and Brittany are having their marital woes, and we're gonna sneak peek into how it started. My guess is just he's just being a demon, being back on the show, like a new show, but a Bravo show. It's just getting to his head too much in the restaurant. He's probably like literally at home saying to Cruz, like, you know what? I'm the number one guy in this house, Cruz. I'm back on TV. I got my own restaurant. I'm back, baby. So I'm the number one guy in this household. Don't even try to outdo me. I know you have your own Instagram run by your mother, Brittany Kentucky Muffin Cartwright, and she has now dropped Couchy from her Instagram name, but I am still the number one guy in this house. As always, this was so fun, and you could find me on Instagram at Bravo T with the Stay at Home Mom, Spotify, and Apple. Till next time, see ya.